gosh. All right. Well, I say let's kick it off on our first episode of Broker Rehab. We are so excited. I'm Courtney Twiss, coming at you from Mariposa, California, outside Yosemite. And I have the lovely Jeff Sutherlin with me, all the way from Arizona. We are so excited to do this. Can you tell?
Yeah, I usually don't get called lovely, but thank you. I'll take the compliment, Courtney. I think you're the lovely one. I'm just so, so yeah, I'm excited to be here. Out of Phoenix, out of Gilbert, Arizona. An awesome place to live. We both live in awesome places. So this is pretty cool, Courtney.
It is cool. And it's cool that we can connect so much when we don't even live near one another. And yet I talk to you all the time.
I know, I know. It's like you're one of my best friends in the company we're in. I just love it. It's so awesome.
That's what I tell everyone I introduce him. This is my best friend from EXP, Jeff Sutherland. Have you met him? He's pretty great.
It, it must be because we have such a just similar background. It's kind of cool. We're excited today to kind of share our stories a little bit before we kick off this broker rehab.
Yes, yes. Well, why don't you tell everyone why we are doing this?
Well, we were talking, Courtney and I, about how there's such a need in this great industry we're in to have brokers come together and learn from each other and collaborate. Courtney and I are big believers in collaboration. We're better together. Whenever you're a broker or even an agent for that matter, real estate can be a very lonely business, right? And we believe, Courtney and I really believe, the more that we give, it always comes back to us one way or the other. We get a lot of joy out of it, and we want to learn from you too. So, we call this broker rehab because, quite honestly, a lot of people need rehab. I mean, we did. We needed some rehabilitation. So we want to talk about our experiences and bring people on and share stories and give you solutions on how you can have a better business and a better life.
Yeah. I know, back, I don't even know how many years ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I kept looking for somewhere to go as a broker to talk to other brokers or hear what other people are doing that I'm not competing with, right? That's kind of a big thing because a lot of realtors, brokers, obviously you have a relationship built with others in your market. But when you have a hard time or something going on and you're like, I don't really know what to do, who do I talk to? And I realize there's not a lot out there still to this day. So I'm excited where we can bring something together specifically for basically the leaders in our industry where we can grow together, we can learn from one another and we can recharge our batteries too at the same time.
Yep, that's right. That's right. And I can't wait to get people that are just so talented on this show and talk to them about some of the stuff they're doing. And then also, just help people out because like when I was a broker, I managed hundreds and hundreds of people. It can be difficult. You're spinning a lot of plates, you're managing a lot of people. You have to work on compliance and production and leadership. And you kind of have to have so many different hats. And it's really hard to be really good at all those things.
Yeah, and run a business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, why don't we start off with a little bit on your background? Let's start with you so people know who they're hearing from today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Courtney. So, my career started way back in 1995, and I worked at a big company called Intel Corporation. Micro.
Should I tell you what I was doing in 1995? I don't
What?
know if I should tell you.
What?
Graduating high school. No, I wasn't graduating. I was going into high school. Just easy, just easy, just easy.
I
Go
didn't
back
know
to
I
your
was.
intel.
I didn't know I was that older than you. Okay.
Oh,
So
class of
that,
99. Go, baby.
yeah, that's pretty cool. That tells you a little bit. Okay.
Uh,
So 1995 to '02, I worked for Intel, and that was fun. I was a supply chain manager, worked around the world actually, went into different factories around the world and taught people how to use tools and how to develop systems and processes that were the same. No matter what plant you went to, you knew you were going to get the same sort of process. And that's a pretty cool technology. That's how they're able to crank out hundreds and thousands of microprocessors every year. So that was a good run and got my MBA when I was working at Intel. That was cool. And then after 7 years, they give you a sabbatical and they tell you to take some time off because they work you pretty hard. And so I decided to leave. After 7 years, I took a voluntary separation package. that was kind of cool. And it was a nice package. So I said, this is my opportunity to go try something totally different. And so I did. I went to go get my real estate license, and I went to go interview for this company called KB Home, and that was a national home builder. So I'm sitting there with 30 people, and this broker panel's up front, and they're like, "Hey, so why should we hire you to be a sales agent at our company?" And I'm like, "Well, I just left a Fortune 500 company last week, and if you give me a year, I'll be your number one agent." And everybody laughed.
Love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
confident.
Yeah, they laughed, and the broker panel laughed, and my competitors laughed at me. And you know what, Courtney? I got the job, and I ended up being number one on the sales board 12 months later, selling, 5 to 10 homes, sometimes on a weekend. And I just poured myself into that. And that was after the first 2 months not selling anything, because they put me in a small town outside of Phoenix and nothing was going on. So, it was a really good start, selling new homes. I
Yeah.
learned a ton about houses.
Well, of course you were number one. You said you were going to be number one and you were number one.
That's
I don't
right.
know why they doubted you. How come they doubted you?
Yeah. I am just slightly competitive. So anyway,
Right?
so that was a really good experience. And then I was asked to be a team leader at a Keller Williams office. And that was a totally new role too. Never really sold resale. I just sold new homes. So I went in there. I was the team leader in charge of recruiting, hiring, firing. I had the broker reporting to me as well. Came in at a market center that literally came out of receivership. It was in bad shape with 89 agents. Grew it up to over 200 agents in 4 years. And this was between '04 and '08. And if you know what happened in '06, it wasn't a pretty picture. And Phoenix was like one of the really hard hit communities when the bubble burst.
Mhm.
So that was a really tough time in real estate. Properties in Phoenix losing like 40% of their value, and ACs getting ripped out of houses, and copper wire. It was nuts. So that was a fun time. When I working at Keller Williams gave me a lot of good education, and I really loved that experience.
Wow. I don't know if particularly loved all those years in real estate. So I really love your optimism around it. That was a tough market. That was a tough time in the market.
It was
Oh,
so tough, Courtney. You know that. I mean, I do open houses on the weekend, and I would be sitting houses that were 130, $140,000. And people are like, "What are you doing wasting your time?" I'm like, "Well, hey, I'd have 15 to 20 people coming through the homes, and I'd have 3 or 4 appointments every single week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I'd be selling houses, be making 4,500, $5,000 a pop, but hey, those add up,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So you just kind of
Just
do
have
what
to
you
do
got
a
to do.
lot of them.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of them. Yeah. Yeah. So spent about 4 years at Keller Williams, and then I believed in my heart I needed to go start a company of my own, and I did it in a great year to start a new company, 2009. It was perfect.
Good timing.
Absolute financial calamity all over the country. So I was like, I'm going to start a real estate company. So we did, and we grew it fast. We were growing very fast. In fact, from 2009 to 16, I grew it to 250 agents. And in Phoenix, we were actually known as the number one real estate company in Arizona for 2 years. Um, we had the best production per agent, which was really exciting because we really focused on culture and training, and we wanted to hire great people. We were really protective of the culture. We didn't even hire like new agents. For the first 3 years, didn't hire one new agent. It was all experienced
Wow.
agents. So when that message got out there, people heard about it, right? And they couldn't believe that we actually turned down people when I interviewed them. That never happens in real estate. And people are like, yeah, I had people coming up to me years after going, yeah, I remember the day I interviewed with you and you said no to me. And it made me want to get in even that much more. So that was kind of
Mm.
cool. Something else we can talk
VIPs.
about. Yeah, VIPs, right?
Yeah.
It was a standard we wanted to have. So I did that for about 6 years, sold the company in 15. And then at that point, quite honestly, Courtney, I was burned out. I wanted to do
Mm.
something different. So I went into the title business. To me, that would be pretty easy because I understand, the process flow. I used to work in corporate America. So I did that for like 3 years, kind of just hit out in corporate America while I was trying to get my bearings again. But inside, I was missing real estate. I was like desiring to get back in. So at that point, it was like 2017, I started to look at EXP, really enjoyed that model a lot. Ended up joining that company in 18, and I've been there ever since. And it's been a great run. It allowed me to let go of all those stressors that I had as a broker, and now I'm real close to 200 agents in my organization, and I get to coach people around the country, which I absolutely love. We'll be talking a lot about
Mm.
that too in this program, and I also do commercial and residential. Um, I guess the other thing that's notable is I'm a part-time pastor, so I do some work in the community with my church, and and that fills my cup too. So that's me.
All right. Well, we're lucky to have you on here, Jeff. That's for
Yeah,
sure. A lot
ditto.
of experience, a
Yeah.
lot of experience.
Yeah, thanks, Courtney. Yeah, how about you, my friend? Let's hear about you.
Well, we already talked about when I graduated high school, so we won't go that far back. Just messing with you. My bestie from EXP.
No problem.
Yeah, so for me, I went to school at Chico State. That's where I met my husband, and he was from a small town called Mariposa outside Yosemite. And after we graduated, he wanted to move here. And I thought, okay, a town of like a few thousand people, what the heck am I going to do with 2 degrees in Mariposa, California? And what I did is I commuted like so many people, right? I had to commute to work, and I was actually doing the lending side of the business for Wells Fargo. I ended up managing an office down in the Central Valley. And I did not want to keep doing that after we started having a family. I was putting in 10 to 12 hours a day, plus the commute. And so I kind of fell into real estate. I had on with a independent brokerage that had a small lending side to it and was doing the lending. And then I had friends that were like, well, you're licensed. Can you show me a house? And I started doing some real estate deals. And that was in 2007. So right when the market was starting to turn in our area. And then still kind of overlapped lending and real estate to this day. I still own a lending company, but I really love the real estate side of the business more than the lending side. I find it to be more enjoyable, and learned a lot of lessons being a realtor in the recession. A lot of hard lessons in my 20s, personally as well, with my husband and I kind of over leveraging like so many people did, especially Phoenix, Central Valley of California, where it was all really similar, really tough market. But it was like the best thing that ever happened to us was to learn what not to do in our 20s and say, we'll never do that again. And it taught us the lesson of how to handle your money, right? Which is a hard thing when you're self-employed. A lot of realtors struggle with building up a retirement or being able to pay themselves a paycheck rather than working from one commission to the next. So anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but I'm sure you can relate, right, Jeff? It's the struggle in our industry.
Oh my gosh. And that's part of the reason where we want to do this, right? Is if you're an
Yeah.
independent broker, you love what you do, but I don't want the name broker. You hear this joke all the time. It's called broker. You're broker than everyone else. That's not the idea here. We want you to actually have a great exit strategy, a great landing, at the end, because if you're going to put that much time into your career and into other people, then we want you to have a great landing. So if we can help you with these
Right.
systems and solutions, then we've won.
Exactly. Exactly. And it took me a while to get a handle on that. But, I think as an agent, it was a great thing to do for our family with 3 daughters. It allowed me some flexibility with my schedule being in real estate when they were young. And then I ended up, like many realtors, going, okay, well, what's next? And I ended up going the independent broker route and opened up an office in Mariposa where I live, then proceeded to open another office about 45 minutes away, and then eventually had my third in the Fresno area market, and about 50 agents, I think, at our max with Twiss Realty. It was a lot of fun, but it was also, there's a lot of kind of burnout that also can go along with that. Well, I'm sure we'll be touching on because many people can relate to when you're juggling, right? And going from brick and mortar to brick and mortar and just figuring out what's the best use of your time and how do you work on your business when you're stuck in working in the business. And so anyway, I ended up connecting with some amazing people through EXP and brokerage over a couple of years ago. And here we are. I have 71 people in my organization. I've met Jeff through this, which has been great. I've made some really great friendships. And now we're ready to grow and learn from one another. And I'm excited for this next year.
It's going to be awesome. And what I also love about you is you're such a leader, especially to other women. And I know that's a passion of yours is leading women and collaborating with women. Can you like talk about that? Because I just really look up to you for that.
It kind of with the brokerage, it happened organically, I would say, where my daughter was a newborn when I started Twiss Realty. So I was not looking to recruit or grow. I just wanted to make some money to save to build our house because that was our family's goal was to buy acreage, build our house, and to do it without debt. And that was my only focus. But, I ended up from that working my butt off, doing quite a bit of deals that got noticed. And it happened to be quite often other moms in the industry that were wanting to work with me and started to come and say, hey, can I work with you at Twiss Realty? And like you, I, attempted, didn't always do the best job at hiring the right people, but I did do an interview process. I do have some that I said no to, but I also have a lot of really great ones that I ended up working with. And ultimately, as I grew, I needed some of them to fill some leadership roles. And we had a leadership team, ran EOS, if anyone has read Retraction. And it was all women. It was a women-led leadership team. We started off with a prayer, which was not EOS, but that was our version. And just tried to have a lot of structure around that growth, which really helped us.
That's so cool. I just can't wait to talk more about that stuff. You know, when I was thinking about this program and how we're going to be doing it on a regular basis, if you think about it, if you're a broker and you're operating at a very high level, you have to know so much about so many different things,
Mhm.
right? Think about all the technology advancements we've had. Think about AI, how now if you have to know a little bit about AI or you probably will be left behind. You know, have to know how to budget, right? And this is where your Dave Ramsey experience comes into play. I was a facilitator for Dave Ramsey as well. I love that program. So a lot of those things all, count in this whole process of becoming a better leader. What about marketing? What about compliance? What about leadership? How do you run a sales meeting? I was literally writing down all these things last night about that we could talk about that can help you and give you like a blueprint on how you can succeed as an independent broker and just give you ideas so you can have some hope again. So you actually know that, you can do this, but you probably can't do it alone. You know what I'm saying, Courtney?
Yeah. And it's okay, right? You move faster when you're doing it together and you're collaborating. I think in our industry, a lot of agents, you hear how cutthroat it is. And I haven't really experienced that too much in my market, but I think that we will make our industry better if we all collaborate and try to improve together, regardless of what brokerage you're with, what your role is. We have to be in it together if we're going to improve, right? And we have to do it collectively.
That's right. Elevating the experience of the consumer. Right? If
For
we're
sure.
focused on the consumer, that makes everybody better. A rising tide lifts all ships. And that's
Right.
what we're about. That's what Courtney and I are about in our heart of hearts. Regardless of where you work, we just want to help you. And it always comes back around. It's the giver's gain philosophy. If we help enough people win and
Mhm.
get what they want, we'll get what we want. And we want relationships and we want to make a difference, right, Courtney?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I know you're saying that. Did you ever read the book Go Giver? I can't even remember who wrote it, but I remember it's such a good book.
Bob Berg, good book.
Okay, there you go. That made me think of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great one, yeah. So, I mean, our audience, we hope, will be people, not just agents, but brokers, people that want to become better. And we have so much to talk about. Well, there's probably not going to be any shortage of content because when you run a brokerage, you run everything. I even had to know a little bit about taxes and how to set up entities. I'm like, I never knew I'd have to know all that stuff. It's like, we just can't wait to get into the meat of it, and I couldn't be doing it with somebody that I respect any more than Courtney Twiss. She's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. Well, obviously, right back at you. I'm so excited that we have come together to do this podcast. I can't wait to hear from guests as we move forward with our next episodes and just kind of go over more of those pain points that brokers feel and, you know, commiserate together and also rejuvenate and bring our spirits up and grow together.
That sounds so good, Courtney. I can't wait. This is going to be a great run. So we hope everybody plugs into us. We're going to be putting these out all the time. So looking forward to growing the community.
So, I think, Jeff, before we sign off on our first episode, we need to introduce the recharge room. And this is something that we're going to do at the end of every episode where we can just pause, take a moment, breathe, maybe reflect because we're always going, 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 and we're moving on to the next thing. And that's not always what we need to do. Sometimes we just need to, and we need to recognize those wins, those small wins and those successes as we move on and realize, look how far we've come. Even if we're a little bit in the trenches right now, look how far we come and look how far we can go. So let's introduce our recharge room where we can just take a moment to just recharge our battery.
Yeah. So think about this. When do we get the most burned out as brokers? Typically, it's because we're reactive all the time, right? We're on that wheel, right? Of just reaction. So when you think about recharging, I'm going to give you a little challenge. I want you to think about somebody in your brokerage that's really working hard. And maybe they've come across some challenges. Maybe they're a little frustrated. Instead of you reacting to the problems that come your way, take some time today and actually call somebody that you care about that works for you and tell them how much you believe in them. Because when we do that, that helps recharge our batteries because we recharge through service, right? Through helping other people. Tell them how much you believe in them, what you see in them, and tell them to keep fighting. And then if they ask any questions about the business, absolutely coach them up. But do that call without any prompting, right? Just do that because you care about them and see what happens to your outlook today.
Perfect. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to end our first episode of Broker Rehab. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and YouTube. I'm at all things Twiss. Jeff, what about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube, the Jeff Sutherlin Show, and this show. Boom.
Yeah, let's go. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Let's go kick some butt.